Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Coffee and Football presented by Adam Lowy and the Lowy Law Firm. I'm your host, Blake Monroe, where I'm joined every day by Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton. Tell us where you're checking in from, what you're drinking, get your questions in this morning. It's also Wednesday, which means it's hump day with Tony Heels. We'll have Tony joining us here just a little
bit. Low energy Tony Hills at 8:30.
He'll get you wide-eyed and bushy-tailed very early in the morning. But, guys, before we get to Tony, we got a few things to talk about this morning, including a schedule change for the Longhorns.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Chris Del Conte in his weekly newsletter to fans yesterday tells folks that they have moved up the Sam Houston State game from September 27th to September 20th. This obviously gives Texas a week off prior to the start of SEC play. They open, of course, with Florida on October 4th in Gainesville. Then the very next week, they're in Dallas playing the Sooners. So this gives Texas a very clear delineation, Jerry, between the start of the season, which is the non-conference schedule, and then they start getting into the regular conference schedule. I think this is a really good move for Texas overall. Yeah. What do you think, Jerry? You like this move by Chris Del Conte?
Oh, I love the move because look, the week off before the Florida game, and look, it's SEC, but it's also Florida. I mean, because I'm looking at Florida right now. I believe Florida has the week off before Texas too. They play Miami on the 20th, then a week off before Texas. And that's an advantage in games like that. So I love it for this schedule change. I think it's a great move by CDC, Sark, and all the brass at Texas. Because, look, it's not that San Jose State, UTEP, and Sam Houston are going to be physically games that wear on you physically. But those are 4 games you play in a row. You get your off week. You catch your breath. And then you get ready for what should be a really tough game at Florida. And, you play at Sam Houston and somebody gets a minor ankle roll on the 27th, and that guy's not available for the Florida game. And I think it's a great schedule change. It also lines up with Florida having an off week. Because, again, they play Miami, then off week before Texas. So, and then, look, we get a lot of build-up to Manning and Lagway. Who doesn't want 2 weeks of that on ESPN?
Yeah, that's going to happen because I think Florida right now looks like I just listening to some folks around the SEC, I think they're going to be some people are going to pick them to win the SEC next year, Jerry, based off of their thoughts on Derek Lagway and Jaden Baugh and those 2 guys, as well as what they have coming back a little bit on defense. We'll see if they can put it all together on defense. That was definitely their downfall in 2024 after Lagway got going. If Florida can muster a defense, they could be a dark horse pick easily for the SEC, in my opinion.
Yeah, we'll see. They were not healthy team last year. See what Eugene Wilson looks like coming back because he is an NFL slot receiver if he returns back to 100%. And it was I think it was a meniscus. It wasn't ACL, but we'll see. I mean, what challenge Florida faces is last year they went into the season and everybody thought Napier was going to get fired. This year, they actually have expectations. So it's a totally different feeling for those players in Gainesville. Last year, they were kind of playing to help their coach survive. And this year, they're going to be playing with expectations of winning 9 or 10 games against a pretty tough schedule once again.
All right, guys, moving on here. Bobby, everyone's going to want to know what's the latest on the coaching search.
So Mike Mickens is a name of interest. We talked about a little bit about him yesterday. He's the defensive back coach, secondary coach at Notre Dame. I talked to someone close to that situation yesterday. Mickens, as of yesterday, had still not officially talked to Sark or anyone at Texas, I'm being told. That doesn't mean that Texas isn't interested. However, I am told that Mickens is going on vacation as of this morning. So I don't know if something's going to happen here or not with Mike Mickens. I will say this. Some of the reason that he might be interested in Texas, okay, he was passed over for the defensive coordinator's job at Notre Dame by Chris Ash. Now, that can happen to a coach. The reality of it is Mickens, though, wants to call the secondary. That is his big deal. He called it this year. He wants to continue to call it. So wherever he goes, if it's Texas or not, he's going to want to be able to call the secondary. Is that something Texas is willing to do? I don't know. I think that conversation has to happen between Sark and Mike Mickens. I will say this. People trying to put out that, they were trying to hire somebody by last week. I don't agree with that. I still believe no, Terry Joseph does not call the secondary. Right now, the Pete Kwiatkowski does. So that's how that works. And that's been in conjunction with Johnny Nansen last year. So my thought process on this for you guys is really quite simple. Where and how does Steve Sarkisian want to go with his hire? I've talked about it for a week and a half now. Ever since Blake Gideon, we found out he was going to Georgia Tech. This is a one of those times where Sark has to decide where he's going with this hire. Is it going to be a guy that he wants to run the secondary overall, or is it going to be a guy that's more of a young recruiter type? We'll see. That's the decision that Sark has in front of him, and I'm not sure that decision's been completely made. That's where I'm at on it right now.
If I can unmute myself there. All right, Bobby, before we move on, will you let everyone know about Adam Lowy and the Lowy Law Firm?
Yeah, I got a couple things from Adam this morning. First of all, thank you to Adam for being a sponsor of On Texas Football's Coffee and Football. If you've been injured in a car wreck, truck wreck, automobile accident of any kind, make sure you reach out to Adam and his firm, LowyLawFirm.com. They have more than 20 years of experience of helping injured Texans in their battle to recoup compensation. If you think you've been injured and might be due compensation, give them a shout for a free, no strings attached consultation. That's LowyLawFirm.com. Now, second part of this for Adam, he has been giving away tickets to basketball games this year. He really likes doing it. He has 4 tickets for On Texas Football fans to Sunday's Texas LSU women's game. So the first person that gets this right is going to be given 4 tickets to the Texas LSU game on Sunday by Adam Lowy. Here is the question. Thanks to Jerry Hamilton, by the way, for the question. Who is with all of this talk towards the NFL draft, and we've talked about it quite a bit, whether Jahdae Barron's going to go in the first round, et cetera. Who is the last defensive back from the University of Texas to go in the first round of the NFL draft? Be the first person to answer on Texas. Send the email to ontexasfootball@gmail.com, and you are in line for 4 tickets. Here's what I would request. Make sure you're the one using the tickets. This is for fun, and we want people out there supporting the Longhorns on Sunday. Really would appreciate that. So, again, thanks to Adam Lowy for putting this out there. 4 free tickets to the LSU game on Sunday. Who was the last defensive back to go in the NFL draft's first round? Give that to us, and we'll let you know who wins tomorrow morning here on air.
And for a little extra incentive, Blake, let's bring up the photo. Who doesn't want to boo that? Who doesn't want to boo Kim Mulkey Sunday?
Oh, come on.
No, when she was at Baylor now, she was public enemy number 2 for Texas fans, especially. She was public enemy number 1 for Texas women's basketball fans. So
yeah, look at that though. That's some style. That now that she's at the Tigers, now that the coaches for the Tigers, that outfit works. When she was at Baylor and she was a Bear, that outfit didn't really work.
Hey, I got a challenge for Brian Kelly. Dance in one of those on a recruiting video. That outfit. Right.
We need to see Kim Mulkey and Brian Kelly dancing on a recruiting video together. In 70 eras clothing, by the way.
Yeah. All right. Now that we're past the fun part of the show.
Yeah. Let's go from women's basketball to men's basketball, guys. We've had a lot of comments both on OnTexasFootball.com and over here in the YouTube chat. Texas, of course, played number 1/number 2 Alabama yesterday, Jerry. They lost 103-80. So before we get to some of these questions for you, first your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, look, we said yesterday Texas had to have their A game, and that was certainly not their A game. But look, you're going to have games where somebody shoots the ball really well against you. It's going to happen. You can't get beat up physically at the same time. And when the combination of that happens, it's ugly. And, look, we've been talking after Texas had the 3 quad one wins in a 4-game stretch, and they suddenly had set themselves up to have a decent quality season in SEC play. Then they've lost the last 3 after that and have not looked good doing it. So now you got Kentucky coming to town. You're in that. One of these is a must-win game this week. Now that you get lost by 23, it gave up 103. Now Alabama, these teams can score at Florida, Alabama, Auburn, Kentucky, but they're a little soft on defense at times. These teams can put up 90 on you, 85, 90, 95, 100 if they shoot it really well. But again, if they shoot it well, you can also get beat up physically. And Texas has some issues right now. And we'll see where it goes for RT. But look, you got to not only find a way to make the tournament if you're RT, now you got to win in the tournament. But because it's been some bad home losses. There's too many home losses, and there's too many losses that are ugly. UConn, Alabama had a chance to win Tennessee. We're in the Auburn game somewhat. Came back against A&M from being 20 down at half or 18 down at half. So it's the ugly part of it that it makes it tough on a fan base.
Look, I think that somebody mentioned in the chat that the seats, he can't get off the hot seat. Every time he starts looking like he's getting off of it, like 2 weeks ago, they just keep pulling him back in. This is going to go back a little bit for Texas fans, and many people won't remember this, but there was a coach at the University of Texas named David McWilliams. Anybody that met David McWilliams liked David McWilliams. Anybody that meets Rodney Terry likes Rodney Terry. That's just the bottom line. Just a good guy, cares about people, cares about his players, puts in 100% effort, all this other stuff. This feels a little bit like that time right now to me in Texas history where, okay, you just may not be that guy for the team. We will see. He's still got time ahead of him. But, that's going to be a question that I think people will ask is whether or not Rodney Terry's going to be the head coach in 2 months for the University of Texas. I'm guessing he understands that and his staff understand that. But this is what it's coming down to. You mentioned the Kentucky game coming up, Jerry, and that's a fair one that we have to watch out for the Longhorns. But it's also the entirety of his tenure down is starting to be called into question after starting off going to the Elite Eight and replacing Chris Beard. Okay, which direction is this program really headed? And it's been step backwards, a slight step backwards, then another step backwards, and then another step backwards. And so that's the question that I think Chris Del Conte is going to be faced with. And unfortunately, right now, it doesn't look good, in my opinion, because I think that no matter how much you like Rodney Terry, the proof is in the pudding, and he's getting paid a lot of money to win, not just to be nice. So that's where that's going to go.
Okay, guys, it is Wednesday, which means hump day with Hills. I'm going to bring in the man, the myth, the legend, Tony Hills. How we doing this morning, Tony?
Hey, man, what's going on? Welcome, brothers. Listen, I am in my new space. As you can see, I found this big, handsome guy on the wall.
Wow, look at that guy.
He's just there when I walked in, guys. I don't know. Apparently, he's a Texas fan, so we're going to get this thing rocking today, all right?
Hey, do you still have the neck roll? Do you still have the neck roll you wore in that photo?
I think somebody it's probably on eBay, Jerry. Somebody got me after the Rose Bowl.
It's probably the neck roll is on eBay. Tony, I appreciate you joining us, man. Jerry, I'm going to let you take it away because you talked to Tony prior to this to try to set him up with some things. I'll let you take it away.
So what we did a couple of weeks ago was we had Tony look at – this is a great time to do it, recruiting right before the recruiting season really hits with these guys, official visits. We had Tony look at John Turntine and Felix Ojo a couple of weeks ago. This week we're looking at Samuel Rosenborough, the right tackle from Clearwater, Florida High. And we're going to look at Toa Katoa, the guard from Euless Trinity. So Blake and Tony, we're going to start with Samuel Rosenborough, the right tackle at Clearwater High, who I believe is a Texas lean right now. What do you see when you watch young Samuel Rosenborough?
I don't know if Tony can hear us right now. We got you there, Tony?
Yeah, I'm getting some bad feedback. I'm getting some bad feedback on my end. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you, bud.
Okay, hold on.
So for the chat, we're watching Samuel Rosenborough here. We're going to get Tony's thoughts. He watched Samuel Roseborough, and get his thoughts on Sam Roseborough.
Tony, you there now, bud?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we got you, dude.
Check.
We can hear you.
All right, man, that's crazy. All right, now, so Jerry, Sam, first and foremost, the first thing you see about this dude, man, athletic. He pops off the tape. When you talk about him coming out of his stance, man, this guy's flying like a bat out of hell, man. I love that. What that tells you is that his BGO, aka ball get off, is extremely pertinent when it comes to run blocking. Here you have it right here, man. Like if I can get off the ball before the defender, I already win the battle right now. They're showing him here a little bit of defensive tackle, but it's the same thing. His ball get off. He's extremely violent with his hands. His athleticism is the thing that pops off the tape for me, man. A couple of plays when you looked at him in the run game, as soon as he makes contact, he drives his feet on contact. A lot of times when you see offensive linemen at the high school level, especially if they're stronger or they're bigger than their opponent, then they tend to have lazy feet, right? They lean on them and they try to muscle them. They try to wrestle them. That doesn't work at the next level. So this guy has really good feet. He's not a waist bender, right? He's a knee bender, which is really good. And what I mean by that for the people in the chat is sometimes offensive linemen, they get a little lazy in the legs. Maybe their legs get a little tight. They get a little tired. And so instead of using proper technique with proper form, that 90-90 knee bend, they start to lean over a little bit. And that's how you get snatched and pulled and jerked around. He doesn't do that. In the pass pro game, the one thing that I loved about him is he's violent with his punch and he has a stick and stay. So he has an extension. He doesn't let guys come into his body. He drives them like we call it a steering wheel. He drives the steering wheel, which is really good. Here, another finish right there, man. Like the guy is a violent offender. Look at his kick step, Jared. Do you see that kick step, man?
Yes.
It's prolific, brother. Prolific. He's not overextended. He understands how to keep the band strength. And what I mean by band strength is if you ever seen those little small rubber bands that you tie on your ankles for all of us that work out, Blake, we're not talking about you. We know you're the workout king. For all of us that are just getting started, we have those little stretchy bands. It's a tension space where you have to be able to have just the amount of right attention to be able to feel that burn right there in the glutes, but not too much where you pop it and not too much to where it looks all wobbly. His feet are separated perfectly and he stays in that stance and he doesn't let people get him out of position. He understands angles, right? I've seen him take some 45 sets. I've seen him take some vertical sets. This guy's a player. This guy's a player, man. I like him.
yeah, I can tell, Tony. So that's kind of similar to when you watch Turntime. You're like, okay, this guy's a little different, right? I mean, high level tackle prospect.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask Tony. Tony, is he a tackle prospect in your opinion?
I think so, Jerry. Like if you look at if they could pause it right there. Come back to the beginning if they can. I don't know if they can. If you could go back to where he was in his stance, pause it right there. Look at his. Get it right back to where before the snap of the ball. I want people to see this. All right, pause it. Look at his stance. Like you can see the athleticism, Bobby, just within his stance. You see the knee bend, the front knee and the back knee bend. You see the turnout on the kick heel. The kick heel is the foot that's out that kind of looks like it's pointed towards the sideline. That's called his brace foot. I want you to see how quickly he gets out of the line and how quickly he's in position when he presses play. Go ahead, Blake. Bang, it's right there. I'm patient. There's no panic. The guy was going for the speed rush. A lot of times when you see high school tackles and they get speed rush, the first thing they do is their feet get crazy. They start crossing over, they turn and run, and they get beat back underneath. This guy is not that way. Whoever's coaching this guy is they know what they're doing.
And he plays against high level competition in that Southwest corner.
Locking him up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think this is one of the top right tackle prospects in the country in that class.
Yeah.
And I think he's starting to be ranked accordingly. So for those that don't know, you're getting familiar with Samuel Roseboro, Clearwater High, visited during the season, was back on campus in late January, not around junior day. And the reason is, Blake, I think we have that tweet from Sam Rosenborough we can bring up after this segment too. His mom now lives in Austin. She moved to Austin for work. He's staying at Clearwater that finished high school with his friends and teammates. But I like Texas' chances right now. He's visiting June 20th, and he's going to be one of the top tackle prospects in the country. Tony, next we're going to get you to talk about Toa Katoa, the offensive guard for Euless Trinity. Now, he is 6'4" and change and 370, but he carries it pretty well. But Toa, one of the better guard prospects in the country. What are your thoughts on young Toa from Euless?
Listen, when this guy learns how to get his pad level down consistently, there's not going to be a lineman in the country that's going to be able to do anything with this dude. I do think that he needs to drop a couple of pounds. Obviously, carrying 370 is not needed. This guy is a power scheme runner. His strength is going north and south, right? Right here, I think this might be the play. Boom. Yeah, like he gets there with violence. But the issue is that I think it's because of the weight that he plays a little high, right? So he has to get a little bit more flexibility. And again, this is to my point. I know it was on the last play. Blake, can you go back to that last play for me? I want to show the people something real quick. Not okay. We'll let it run. No, not that one. It's going to come up here in a second.
This play here.
I think it's this one. Yeah. No, it's not that one. There's one where when you see his feet on contact, he's using his body weight instead of driving his feet. I was trying to show that. That was freaking phenomenal right there. Dude came off the ball with a purpose. But on some of these plays, if you watch them and hopefully the fans can see it, you'll see sometimes where he tries to like muscle. That was a great two-gap block. He'll try to muscle his way through the defender as opposed to driving his feet and running his feet. And I think a lot of times what you see with guys that are heavier is as the game gets going, if we're on those longer drives, 10, 12, 13 play drives, man, technique goes out the window because at this point I'm in survival mode. Cardiovascular system is shot, legs was on fire, and I'm carrying 370 pounds. That's tough. So I think he needs to get down. I would love to see him get down somewhere at around 330, maybe 340, drop about 30 pounds, put on a little bit more muscle. But listen, the one thing that I know about Tongans is that they love hitting people, and this dude is no different, man. When he gets his hands on you, he gets there with violence. He took out 2 people on one block. Like the right tackle didn't have anything to do. He was just like, "Hey, you sit back and chill, young fella. I got it." Right. So I like the guy. I just think that we got to work on that foot speed. We got to work on that flexibility. And we got to get his weight down.
One of the things about young players like this, Tony, is you're right. They are so powerful at such a young age. They don't realize quite yet what it's going to take at the next level, right?
Correct.
That they're going to be going up against guys that are rotating in, that are elite athletes, that are going to be fresher. He's just going to have to get more in shape, basically college level shape, right? Is that what you're basically saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying. This level is done. I mean, he's already passed the test here, man. He's bigger, stronger, more aggressive, more violent than everybody else out there. But what happens is that when you play college football players, man, listen, they listen to rap music and lift weights too. You know what I mean? Yeah. So at the end of the day, now it becomes about who has the better technique, man. And so I think that if he gets into a program that understands who he is as a player, like let this guy go north and south. If you want to get cute and pull them on traps and stuff, I'm fine with that. But if you start trying to run a wide zone with a 370-pound guard, good luck. But he's never going to get to the point of attack, right? And he's never going to cut anybody off backside, right? So we got to drop his weight. We got to get him faster. We got to get him more explosive. We got to get him more flexible. But the one thing that you can't coach is want to, and the one thing that you can't coach is drive, and that kid clearly has that. Moving the way that he moves at 370, my God, if you drop him 30 pounds, I can only imagine what's going to happen there. And in some of the pass pro things, you might as well forget about it. When he gets his hands on you, you're done. You just, if you're a defensive coordinator in high school and you're trying to run some sort of twist stunt, and a linebacker has to hit an A gap on that dude, just X him out knowing that he's not getting there. So you better hope the coverage or your ends get there or the coverage gets there, because that whoever's in his gap is not getting there, period, and point blank.
Tony, just changing topics of conversation here. Moro Ojomo just won a Super Bowl for the Philadelphia Eagles. Obviously, Xavier Worthy had a good Super Bowl for the Chiefs. We also had Charles Omenihu in that game. You, as a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers, kind of y'all know what that feels like back in the day, et cetera. What does it mean for a pro football player to win a Super Bowl, especially get in there and have something to do with it like Moro Ojomo did?
You brought that up, Bobby. Hold on, I'm gonna do something special for the fans. I'm gonna do something special because you brought that up, Bobby. I didn't say anything about that. I didn't mention it.
It's ring season. It's ring season.
Somebody said that the phone is what, ringing? Okay, listen, man. This right here. I hope they can see that. This is everything. This is everything, right? And I've been blessed and fortunate enough to be on teams and be with players that have accomplished many, many things, right? Obviously, national championship. You talk about winning the Super Bowl. I don't care what anybody does after they're done with this game. They will be addressed as Super Bowl champion such and such, right? It's the ultimate prize. It's the reason why you do everything you do. Like, if we can put it in terms of people that work in corporate America, like, one of the things that you're doing is you're climbing what they call the corporate ladder, right? That's no different than training camp. That's no different than off season. That's no different than regular season. But you're climbing the corporate ladder for a reason. Because of one day I want to be sitting as a CEO or CFO or COO. I want to be at the top of the top, being able to show not just to lead people, but to show and to prove to myself that I'm able to accomplish more than anybody ever thought. I'm able to accomplish more than I could have ever thought. And so to be able to be that is phenomenal. And if we put it in perspective, man, like, Dan Marino is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. He doesn't have one of those. And does that mean that we're better players than those that don't? No, but I'm showing you that these guys that have put so much and given so much to the game, how hard it is to get one of those. And I was able to go twice in 3 years, right? So, man, I love the fact that we have representatives playing in that game. Xavier Worthy, my God, the first and only Texas player to score a touchdown in the Super Bowl. If you think about how many players have played from the University of Texas in the NFL, and this young man, he didn't just do it once. He had two of them, didn't he? Yep. So it's like I know the result wasn't what he wanted, but he has a long career ahead of him. And brother, you're in the record books. You will forever be the first. And as of right now, you are the only. Charles Omenihu, he has one. I know it didn't go the way that he wanted to, but brother, you was in the situation to where if that game would have went your way, you would have been a part of a legacy. And quiet as kept, you guys have had a phenomenal run. And so at the end of the day, man, like, I know when you've lost the game, because I've been on both sides. I know when you lost the game, you're not reflecting. You're just like, man, I can't believe it. And there's a sickening feeling. And now you got to see it on replay and all of these particular things. But when you get to my age and you sit back and reflect, you're like, wow, that was some pretty cool stuff that I was able to accomplish.
Tony, I got a question off of that, because I've always wanted to ask somebody, and I've never been able to ask anybody until now. You were in the locker room before a national championship game in college age guys, and you've been in the locker room before a Super Bowl. Are the nerves the same as guys are older? Is it more so because of the magnitude of the Super Bowl? How is there a difference that you saw?
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you the difference. In college, everybody's pretty much around the same age, right? So the invincibility thought process of being able to know, hey, man, this is our moment. We finna go get it. Like we're not even thinking about what it looks like if we don't accomplish the goal, right? Because it's just we're gung ho. We know we're going to do it. We're loose. We're having fun. It is what it is. We're young, right? Young, wild, and free, right? As a professional, GH, man, there's different levels. You got some guys in that room that have been in this league for 10, 11, 8, 9 years, and this is it. Yeah, this might be the last game that they ever play, period, right? You got other guys that are, like me, was a rookie. It was like, bro, this is dope, bro. Like, man, bro, like what? I can't believe, like, we're like, just like, whoa, like what is happening? We don't even recognize the moment. I'll give you an example real quick. I thought that every other year you're supposed to go to the Super Bowl because that's what I experienced my first 3 years. Like, so I was like, oh, okay. All right, so we lost this one. We won't go back next year, but then, the year after that, we're going to be there. I never went back, right? So it's the age difference determines the level of anxiety, right? Because it's like, not only is this my last game, but this might be my only moment, right? To win it at this particular level. In the college ranks, man, you might not win a national championship, but you go on to play to the next level and boom, you're a Super Bowl champion. So you were able to accomplish something. But as a professional, that's it. So I think that's the biggest thing. I hope that answers the question.
No, it did. Hey, I had one more for you, Tony, this morning. As we get
No, I do not use joy mode. I'm a young man.
Hey.
No. And that joy mode roar stick comparison, I don't know what you and Blake got going on, but good gracious.
I got in trouble with Blake's wife on that one. I got in trouble with the wifey on that one, so I'm done with that. All right, so that's funny, very funny. By the way, but boy, didn't Nate Oates bring his Tecovas last night to Austin. All right, so that's something different. But Tony, my question for you is, Texas is going to have a new starting right tackle next year. Brandon Baker's probably the favorite over Andre Kojo headed into spring practice. You've been in that position before. What's going to be most important for those guys in that competition this spring?
Yeah, consistency. It's about gaining the confidence of your coaches, right? The guy that doesn't make the mistakes is the guy that wins the job. It's not even necessarily the guy that's more talented. You can have a guy that's more talented. He can do some amazing things, but if you believe that in that moment to where you got to have it, he could potentially cost you. You're going to go with the safer bet, right? So for those guys, it's whoever is the one that does it the right way every single time, consistency. And you got to think about it, guys. Like we had Banks and, we had the other fella, I'm drawing a blank right now, Cam, right? Those guys were a model of consistency. Like, did they have up and down games? Yeah, it is what it is. It's the SEC. But from a mental error standpoint, you didn't see a lot of that. And so there's going to be a growth standpoint that has to happen. And so their learning curve is shorter, right? Because now there's an expectation at Texas. Whereas before we were in a building phase and it was just exciting because it's like, oh man, Texas, we're moving, we're getting back there, we're grooving. Now there is an expectation. When you come to Texas, there's nothing less now than getting to these championship games, right? And there's a level of play and a style of play that I know Coach Flood wants. And the person that's able to consistently bring that is going to be the person that takes that job. The reason why you have Gooseby already penciled in is because he's already proved his consistency on high levels multiple times. These guys have yet to prove that. So it's going to be fun to see. I think it's going to be a great battle.
That's a great point. I love it because it's so true. I mean, people don't realize this, but coaches track mental errors as much as they track anything in practices.
Yes.
How many mental errors did you make in a given practice? That's something they talk about, particularly at the skill position too. When guys run the wrong routes, don't pick up the reads from what the secondary is doing, etc. Good stuff, Tony. Tony, we appreciate you, bud. Let us know if you need anything.
I was going to say real quick, last point, Bobby, because I want to leave the fans with something great. With the NIL situation that we have here, guys are being paid. You're sitting back there now. This ain't just about school pride. As an offensive lineman, you're protecting a $1 million man. So we can't make those mistakes, right? So I wanted to make sure that the people knew why it's so important. And I also wanted to make sure that people knew that even though it's 8:51, OU still sucks. Hook 'em, baby. I'll let you guys, man.
Take
You're
care,
the best,
Tony. Thanks for watching those players for us too, by the way. Love it.
You know what
a
we're
picture
gonna
of
do next week?
Roseboro before we go to the next before we do some stuff extra here?
Yeah.
Like
Jerry?
Yeah, so that's Sam Roseboro and his family in Austin, I think late January that was. But Roseboro, look, and mom lives in Austin, obviously relocated for work. We've said that before. I think Texas is in a pretty good spot. Is it a done deal? I'm not saying that, but I think Texas is in a pretty good spot right now for Roseboro, and he will officially visit June 20th. There's a lot of competition. All your major Florida schools and your SEC powers are all there, and you saw why on the tape, Bobby. But I'll say this, what we're seeing through, and this is why I wanted to we talk about these guys, but the reason I wanted to put him in front of Tony Hills in this cycle is Texas, this is a strong group of offensive linemen in-state and out-of-state that Texas has coming in for official visits. And I wanted even another opinion for all the Texas fans on that. But I think what we're going to do with Tony next week, we're going to get him to watch Nick Brooks senior tape. We want him to watch Nick Brooks senior tape and give an opinion on big Nick Brooks. Because I think that one will be an interesting one as well.
Good stuff. Okay, guys, before we move on here, I'm going to let everyone out there know about Mint Mobile. And I don't know about y'all, but I like keeping my money where I can see it. Unfortunately, traditional big wireless carriers also seem to like keeping my money too, along with yours. And after years of overpaying for wireless, I finally got fed up from those crazy high wireless bills, bogus fees, and the free perks that actually cost more in the long run. And I switched to Mint Mobile. Saves a lot of money. It will save you a lot of money too. You can say bye-bye to your overpriced wireless plans, jaw-dropping monthly bills, and unexpected overages. Mint Mobile is here to rescue you with premium wireless plans starting at just $15 a month. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your own phone number along with all of your existing contacts. Ditch that overpriced wireless. Get 3 months of premium wireless service with Mint Mobile for $15 a month. If you like your money, Mint Mobile is for you. Shop plans at mintmobile.com/ontexas. That's mintmobile.com/ontexas. Upfront payment of $45 is required for the 3-month 5-gig plan, equivalent to $15 a month. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. Bobby, if you'll what I can't remember which of you reading Tecovas today, but one of you telling everybody about Tecovas.
He's already talking about Nate Oates taking his Tecovas to Texas last
Oh,
night.
boy, did he, man. He brought his boots and his manscaped and all of it. Ooh, that was ugly. All right. Anywhere worth going is worth going in good boots. I say great boots. Born in Texas in 2015, Tecovas are handcrafted with every stitch on point perfectly. Tecovas boots are made for a good time and a long time. I love the fact that they're already broken in for comfort right out of the box. That is 100% true. And Tecovas makes it easy for anyone to find their favorite boot. With all kinds of sizes and styles, Tecovas are simply the best boot around. I don't need to read anything else after that. I really like that they can either be daily boots or you can feel dressed up with them as well. Wear them to a wedding. Why not? Right now, get 10% off at tecovas.com/Texas football when you sign up for emails and texts. Again, that's 10% off at tecovas.com/Texas football, all caps. With Tecovas, best in the West guarantee, you get free returns and exchanges for 30 days. Again, tecovas.com/Texas football, all caps. See site for details. And Nate Oates, I hope you took those back home with you last night.
We have a couple of super chats we need to get to this morning here. Going to start with Maddie M. Thank you, Maddie. Good morning, OTF family. Can't wait for the Tycoon wake-up sermon. Well, you got it at this point, so I hope you are very pleased. I sure hope Matthew has that Monday morning deer in the headlights clip of CJ queued up for Jerry's next Joy Mode read or Coach Ship's next zinger.
Oh, boy.
Welcome, Matt will be on in the afternoons with CJ. You can catch him throughout the week there, but I'll let him know for you to have it ready to go.
I want to hit a couple things real quick on. Of course, anybody can rant in the chat. Go for it, Ralph Neely. I know people need to. TJ Johnson, I don't know. Somebody was talking in the chat during TJ Johnson brought up Nate Kibble. I don't know if y'all were just talking about players, but I wanted to reiterate that Nate Kibble, redshirted last year out of Atascocita, the guard, had a not good, tremendous redshirt season for Texas. High hopes there.
I think this one needs to be addressed too. Connor Vaughn, any truth to the rumors about Jonah Williams leaving in the spring due to Gideon's departure? I don't know who's perpetuating that, but
They're wrong.
Not to our knowledge.
Y'all don't listen to Dan Lanning's burner.
Yeah, I think that this is what's happening with news nowadays. Somebody says something and then everybody has to refute it. And unless we really point something out, I really doubt that 95% of these rumors have any legs to them, frankly. So be aware of that. That's all I would say and how I would answer that question for you.
So, okay, this is what the all OL talk was about. People are asking, number of people, thank you, Daddy Trill, TJ Johnson, everybody's asking about backup left tackle. And that's actually a really good question, Bobby, headed in the spring. Who's that going to be? Is it going to be Jaden Chapman? Is it going to be Nick Brooks? It's going to be an interesting question because I do think that's going to have to play out in the spring.
But my thought is it Malik Ogbo running both sides as the third tackle? Because he's built himself. I mean, when he came to Texas, I thought he was a guard. No chance he would be anything but a guard. Now he's got himself in such a shape that he may be a tackle, Jerry, and a swing tackle at that. I think that Jaden Chapman, this is a big spring for him. Also, I think he's your backup left tackle at this point, but I think they're going to try to give him a chance to win a job too, somewhere. Maybe that's right tackle. We'll see what Kyle Flood and those guys have on their hands here, because that right tackle spot, you would think Brandon Baker is quasi penciled in for it because he's a 5-star, et cetera. But you've got Andre Kojo, you've got Jaden Chapman, you got a number of guys that are going to try to put their hat in the ring there. And I think it'll come down to what happens in the spring and into summer, even at some level.
Okay, we got another super chat here. This one from Longhorn Frenzy. Thank you, as always, Longhorn Frenzy. Bobby and Jerry, we all know about the heavily recruited states for football, but in y'all's opinion, what are some of the most under-recruited states, or is that even a thing anymore?
I think so.
Yeah, it is.
I think Mississippi and Alabama are under-recruited dramatically.
I think Alabama – We did a study when I was ESPN Under Armour game around the Under Armour game, and I think Alabama had maybe the highest hit rate of the highly ranked players of any state for about a decade. Was that because Nick Saban was a great developer and Auburn was also a top program? Those kids are super physical in that state, though, Bobby. They are super physical football players.
The reason they're under-recruited is because the number of rural athletes that don't – I mean, think about it. What's the largest city in Mississippi? Jackson.
Yeah.
Okay. Biloxi. Hattiesburg. I mean, there are not large cities in the state of Mississippi. And so when you go there to recruit, it takes a long time to figure out where all you have to go. You really have to canvass the state. And so unless a guy's on a list early, he's not going to see the Texases and Ohio States come through. He'll see Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and Southern Miss, and maybe an LSU or a Memphis. We'll go down there. I mean, so I think Mississippi is one. I think Alabama is one, again, because even though they do have a Birmingham and a Mobile, there's still a heavy rural component there. So I would say those two, and then I'll put one out that's didn't used to be the case, but I think it is now, and that's California. Northern California is people don't go up there very much anymore to recruit players, and it's just as heavily populated as it once was. And so I think that Washington, Cal, some of those teams are putting out. Washington State, in particular, by the way, has put out a number of NFL players that have come from Northern California.
Yeah.
And so you don't see. I mean, Texas tried to get in there last year with John Mills. I think those are the three areas, so to speak: Mississippi, Alabama, and Northern California for me.
I will say traditionally the most undervalued state in recruiting. And if you go to like an NFL per capita list that's interesting, is New Jersey. New Jersey is probably always been an underrated state for me. If you just look at like NFL per capita, they're the one that's sneakily up that list. They don't have a lot of prospects, right, Bobby? They don't have a ton of foot traffic up there, but they have really good players if you find them in that state, guys that pan out.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's actually, I think it's top 10 per capita, even though it's a fairly populated state. You could say a number of different places. I do think Alabama, Mississippi, Northern California. And if I had to go a different one, I would probably say rural Virginia and North Carolina as well. Those are areas that are under recruited, even though North Carolina has 6 Division I schools now in that state. I still think the state of North Carolina, from a national perspective.
And to Bobby's point, east of Research Triangle all the way to Havelock and the coast, and those smaller rural areas have a lot of big body guys that can move. Having gone through there when I was doing this nationally, I mean, you get into those areas in the Greenville and east, all the way to Havelock and those areas, there's a lot of talent there. And the problem with recruiting those areas is you spend a whole day going to see 2 kids.
Yes, that's
always
that's the whole thing.
Like when Jeff Banks went to Brunswick to see Hezzy Kent, that's a whole day in recruiting. Going to Brunswick, depending on where you came from. And that's why I think I'll tell you another under-recruited area, even though some people say, is it really? But it is to the talent level, Savannah, Georgia. I was down there when I went to see Walter Mathis last year. And I'm here to tell you, man, they got a lot of talent down there. And all that talent, and some of that talent kind of slips through the cracks a little. When I say a little, they're still Power 4 guys. And it may be because Georgia can't take all the guys, and it makes it feel like that. But Savannah, because of all the talent in Metro Atlanta, I think that Savannah area gets missed a little bit.
Good stuff. Okay, we got some more questions and plenty of time for you to get your questions in, so please do so. But Jerry, I also know you wanted to talk a little recruiting this morning, so I'm going to give you the opportunity to do so.
Yeah, one of the official visitors, CJ was by the school yesterday, Eastview and Georgetown. We were watching Thiessen. Bobby, how do you pronounce his last name?
Come
on, Bobby, you got it.
Ijakwo.
I think Ijakwo is it. Thank you. This is a kid. He's up top, off the edge, has some physical similarities to Brad Spence as far as frame goes. Now, we watch Brad Spence senior tape. We're watching this kid's junior tape, but there's some physical similarities there. But Thiessen is a Texas Tech commit. They did a really good job getting in on him early. He is 6'2" and 3/4 and 227 per CJ yesterday. Still 16 years old, young kid. Got a lot of upside, but he is scheduled to officially visit Texas June 13th through 15th. One of 3 linebackers that is scheduled to officially visit Texas right now. There you see some ball skills, some ability to adjust his body as an athlete, and some reactive quickness to him. But this is a guy who has a lot of upside, and he kind of fits, Bobby, what Johnny Nanson's been recruiting, a little bit taller, longer limb guy at linebacker. Now, this guy looks like he's going to be big to me. He looks like he's going to be 250 plus. So is he more in the Trey Moore mold long term than a traditional linebacker, maybe playing off the edge more? We shall see. But he's committed to Tech. But I think if Texas makes a big push, they become the favorite.
You think he plays through contact?
I think he might.
Yeah, this is what we were talking yesterday about what you're looking for. You're looking for guys that play through contact, and when you hit them, as a defensive player. If you hit them and they go down,
Plays over.
Yeah. He's look, I think that Texas is doing a really, really nice job of evaluating right now. I'm glad CJ was up to be able to get by and see him as well. Jerry, you mentioned 3 linebackers. The other 2 are Kosi Akpala, I think, out of Maid Creek, and Tank King out of Port Arthur Memorial. Those are the 3 linebackers. So one from Central Texas, one from Houston, and one from the Golden Triangle, at least at this point. That's a little odd because Texas hasn't been Dallas area. Texas has kind of hit in the linebacker ranks the last couple of years. Hey, got a couple other things we need to mention.
I want to hit something else, Bobby, to that.
But
because it's not just going to be in-state linebackers in this class. Tyler Atkinson's the top linebacker on the board out of Grayson. I think Texas has a really good shot to get an official visit out of him, be back in the spring. He's been on campus a couple of times. His teammate Anthony Davis at Grayson High on the board for Texas. Texas really likes him. So I just wanted to put that out there. I think there will be more than 3 linebackers make official visits in June. I think that number will creep to close to 5 or 6, probably 6 at the end of the day. And Tyler Atkinson out of Grayson is, I think, at the top of the board. But Tisan Ajokwo, really good prospect here. He had a big junior season, and he's popped onto the Texas radar. They had him at January 20 Junior Day. He's officially visiting June 13th. He's scheduled to be at Texas Tech June 20th. But I think if Texas makes a big push, Tech's in trouble on that one. We'll see.
Good stuff. Thank you, Jerry. And at the beginning of the show, guys, we talked about some of the news that came out today. And, Bobby, I want to go back to one of the things that you talked about with the coaching search. I'm going to let you tell everybody about that. But when you talked about it, we had a lot of questions along these lines, and I'm going to let you elaborate. Diffie DC says, can you elaborate on what calling the secondary means? Is that like calling the whole defense or just the coverage? So I'll let you go full spill on that and the latest on the coaching.
Yeah, I think what it means is having a say in what the coverage is behind it with certain defensive calls. And so you don't make the call separate from the defensive coordinator. You make it in conjunction with the defensive coordinator and decide on it together. That's what it was. And frankly, it's my understanding that while other people helped that along, it's been PK's job to do that since he's been at Texas. So I'm not saying that Mike Mickens has to do this or that, or anybody would, but I think that he would want more say than maybe what has been given to this point from a Texas coach. That's just my what I gather. Again, he feels like he has that at Notre Dame. So we'll see what all it comes out to. Mickens, by the way, and what I mentioned, as of Monday, had not been officially contacted by Texas, I am told, but was also going on vacation starting today. So the timetable for this, I don't know if Mickens is going to be the guy, would be my feel for it. And I still have said this from the very beginning. I think there's more at play here than just replacing a secondary coach or replacing a safety coach. What is Steve Sarkisian going to do with the entire secondary and its construction next year? I don't know is my answer to that. I just don't know. The other news that broke yesterday, Chris Del Conte announcing in his weekly letter to Texas fans that Texas has moved up its September 27th game with Sam Houston to September 20th, giving Texas a week off before the Longhorns start SEC play against Florida down in Gainesville, Florida on October 4th. So those 4 non-conference games are clearly delineated now from conference play. So Texas, likely to be 4-0 or 3-1. The one thing I don't like about Texas's schedule right now, Jerry, looking at this, I don't like playing the tough team first and then kind of ratcheting down 3 straight weeks. I don't know that I like that. That doesn't feel right to me. I almost want Texas to play somebody a little more difficult in there. You know what I mean by that? Before they go to Gainesville, that'll be a whole month plus of literally playing teams that aren't very good compared to what you're going to go experience in the swamp. I don't know that I like how that schedule sets up for Texas, although I do like moving Sam Houston State up a week because that at least gives you a week off before you go play Florida.
Yeah, no, I love the change because Florida has the week off after playing Miami. And if you played a game, like I said earlier, if you played a game right before Florida and a player gets a grade 2 ankle sprain, he's out for the Florida game. If you get a grade 1 or 2 ankle sprain in a week earlier, you can get back. I like that from an injury standpoint because the nicks and bruises type of injuries, having that week off, and both Texas and Florida having the week off before that game. We'll see. Can you bring up Florida's schedule, Blake, on this as well? Let's look at Florida's schedule before this game as well. We know they have Miami September 20th, but where will Florida be before this game? Because I'm telling you, if Texas wins at Ohio State, then they're going to be 4-0 going into that game. So now Florida has Long Island. Yes, the Sharks are coming to town. Whoa, the Sharks are coming to town. I wonder if they'll bring back their former Florida coach for that. All right, South Florida on the 6th, at LSU on the 13th, Miami on the 20th. There's a chance Florida's more beat up than Texas going into this game. I'll say that. At LSU, at Miami, Bobby, 2 weeks in a row, off week before Texas. Where will Florida be headed into the Texas game? That's going to set up, but I know with the off week, it's going to be a lot of Arch Manning Lagway hype for 2 weeks.
They will be battle tested, though.
Yep.
Compared to Texas. And I don't know that Texas is going to be battle tested going into Gainesville. You only have one game of note, and it's the first game of the season, Ohio State. And then the next 3 are San Jose State, UTEP, and Sam Houston State. I got to be honest, I don't like how that sets up for Texas. It's like the other team's tested 2 straight weeks, and Texas hasn't been tested in a month plus.
Boy, and
I don't like it. I don't like how that sets up. I like that they moved the game up a little bit for the Sam Houston State game, but something about that doesn't strike me as favorable for Texas.
What's interesting to me is that's a tough 4-game.
Yeah.
At LSU.
Absolutely.
And let's see what Miami's like. I mean, they're a mid-major defensively unless they change a lot. And they're not going to have Cam Ward, even though his bad turnovers. He still made plays for them. At LSU, at Miami, Texas, at A&M, their season's going to be decided in those 4 games. Billy Napier now, that's what we're talking about with Florida. They have expectations now. And expectations with that schedule makes for an interesting discussion if things don't go well to start the season.
Okay, before we move on, Bobby, I'm going to let you tell everyone about Babbel.
Yeah, absolutely. Babbel is a language learning app that everybody needs to know about if you're interested in learning a new language at all. More than 16 million people have used Babbel. It involves quick 10-minute lessons that are handcrafted by more than 200 language experts to help you start speaking a new language in as little as 6 weeks. I've been using it to improve my Spanish. Be a better you in 2025 with Babbel, the science-backed language learning app that actually works. Don't pay hundreds of dollars for private tutors or waste hours on apps that don't really help you speak the language. Let's get more of you talking a new language. Babbel is gifting listeners 60% off at babbel.com/ontexas. Get up to 60% off at babbel.com/ontexas, spelled BABBEL.com/ontexas, babbel.com/ontexas. Rules and restrictions may apply. Again, 16 million people already using Babbel today.
And I'm going to tell everyone about Pure Hydration because it's a plant-based hydrating electrolyte drink mix with no added sugar. It's a natural, delicious, and convenient way to keep you and your whole family hydrated, but without the artificial stuff. Pure is made with clean ingredients, which means you'll stay healthy and stay energized, but without the crash. It's doctor approved and safe for the whole family, from adults to kids ages 1 and up. And of course, hydration is key to feeling your best, and Cure makes it better and easier than ever. I drink it every single morning to start my day, usually right here on Coffee and Football. Got to open mine here in a minute. It tastes great, and they offer 7 amazing flavors that you will love. It's also convenient. You can take it with you anywhere, as each bag contains 14 on-the-go packets that you just dump in a bottle of water, shake it up, and you're ready to rock and roll. Hydration goes beyond just drinking water. It's about replenishing the electrolytes we lose through sweat, sleep, alcohol, and everyday daily activities. Water alone isn't enough to do the job. That's why you need to try Cure, the electrolyte drink mix that tastes as amazing as it makes you feel. And for OTF listeners, Cure is offering 20% off your first order. Stay hydrated. Feel your best by visiting curehydration.com/OnTexas. Use promo code OnTexas at checkout. That's curehydration.com/OnTexas and use code OnTexas for 20% off your first order. Okay, we need to move on here. And some,
let's congratulate somebody here.
Yeah, some former Texas news or Texas player news here. Aaron Wilson says Texans are expected to hire former Raiders/Panthers/Toledo football assistant Frank Oakham, a former Texans 5th-round pick from the Longhorns, as their assistant defensive line coach.
He'll be reunited with Rod Wright as defensive line coach, who is the defensive line coach at the Texans. So now Texans, D'Amico Ryans got a little Texas D-line action going on with both Rod Wright and Frank Oakham headed to Houston. That's awesome, dude. Congratulations to Frank. I remember going and seeing him and Rod Wright in high school back in the day when they were just pups, but they were never small guys. Neither one of those guys were ever small. I'll say that.
He was one of, if I remember his recruiting story correctly, he was one of the rare guys that didn't tell Mac ahead of time he was going to Texas. I think he announced on the local news in Dallas, and Mac Brown said, "We didn't actually know. We didn't know." He was a rare guy that wouldn't tell Mac the news ahead of time before he announced. I think it came down to Oklahoma State, right, in Texas. Yeah. He was a weird recruitment because but Oklahoma State, he had a really good connection with Oak State staff, but he's one of those rare guys that did not tell Mac beforehand that he was going to Texas. Yeah, kept him waiting.
Frank Oakham had a strong-willed mother. I will just I'll let you know what I mean? Like, you knew when you called the house. Yeah. You were talking to her son. So good for him. I'm happy for him. I love seeing guys like Frank Oakham, Rod Wright do well in their careers. Tony Hills, guys like that they get out of football. And Frank had a nice, long or decent career in the NFL as a player. They get out of football, they go into coaching, etc., or whatever they're doing. I love it when I see guys like him doing well professionally, because it means they not only do they get their degree, they're utilizing it and making something of themselves and for their family. So it's great to hear that he's going to be down with the Texans. He started his career at Rice, by the way, as an assistant at Rice.
Hey, I wanted to answer this question. Good Talk Russ, and I don't mean Good Talk Russ. This is actually his name here. How much flag football games do you watch, if any, for recruiting? That's actually a really interesting question. I love it for the kids. I think it's great for them. I think it's, as long as quarterbacks move their feet, I think it's good for quarterbacks. Just continuity, throwing football, right? Just continue throwing football. So I think it has value. I think it can help kids in recruiting because they can put their wild plays out there. For me in my business, I evaluation not. It's more of check boxes. Is this kid as big? Maybe talk to a 7-on-7 coach. A lot of guys out there I'm friends with, a couple that are in this chat. What about the kid? You learn about the kid. Maybe that's different than what you learn from the high school coaches around. I think it's good for the kids, but I think it's from an evaluation standpoint, you can check some boxes on kids, but man, there's also, there's some real guys out there that can make you look really bad. Like Damon Demas would run around and do 3 backflips in a row after making a wild catch in the end zone in a 7-on-7 game. and people had him ranked the number 1 receiver in the country, and he was never close to that as a football player. If you actually watched his tape against Furr and people like that. So there's the really good for the kids part. I think it's great exposure for those kids. I think there's kids that aren't on the radar that pop onto the radar and get evaluated from 7-on-7, then at their high schools and in padded football. But from an eval standpoint, that one's a tricky one. You got to be careful with it.
I actually think you could tell more of DBs in 7-on-7 than you can receivers. I want to say that.
Agree.
So
Agree.
you actually see how they communicate better. But I also think that can't really be seen on film. You have to be there. So I would tell you that I think 7-on-7 film is not worth very much. But 7-on-7 actually being there and seeing how players communicate and how they compete. Like I'll never forget watching Nathan Vasher at the 7-on-7 state tournament. He went from a guy that's an interesting player. He's kind of quick. He makes a lot of people miss. He's kind of silky smooth. He went from being just a guy to me that you need to watch out for to a guy, this guy needs to be offered a scholarship by a lot of people. He's not, he competes like a madman, works hard, cannot be corralled. Guys like that.
It kind of goes back to our conversation earlier. Some kids that aren't from the major cities that you don't see as much that show up at a 7-on-7, a state 7-on-7, a 7-on-7 tournament. That's an opportunity for those kids to really make a name for themselves out in an area different than padded football. To Bobby's point, like Nathan Vasher was up at Texarkana. You didn't see him as much as you saw a kid from Houston or Dallas. So it affords that opportunity for kids. There's a lot of positives with it.
We got a super chat here from Lee Potts. He says, money to buy Blake a new t-shirt. Just kidding. I didn't think I've worn this one in a while. Maybe I have. I don't know. I'm very tired this morning. Thanks for everything. Thank you, Lee. Appreciate that. You can also Venmo me, and I'll buy whatever shirt you want me to. And then we got some questions here, guys. Let's go to this one from Dave. He says, is this an accurate take on the 2026 running backs? Power back, Latimer, Cooper, Crowell, and then your speed elusive backs, Osborne and Edwards. Jerry?
I would put Cooper in a category all by himself because I think he's both. I mean, like, if you're 6'1", 205 and you're running 10.5 this spring, you're going to be in a separate category from everybody. But yeah, I think so. I mean, I think that's pretty accurate. Crowell, I think, but I will say this: I don't want to pigeonhole guys because Crowell has power, but he also can play in space.
So does Osborne.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to pigeonhole guys with that. I think Osborne's got compact power, even though he's a 5'9", 195-pound guy. I mean, Ashton, Jainty, those guys have compact power, so we don't want to pigeonhole him. Latimer, I think, is more of that downhill back in his skill set. I think Crowell has space ability as well because he's just got tremendous contact balance. I think he's a little quicker to the edge potentially to play in space. But I think Edwards is very much at the next level, Bobby, more of the space player amongst this group. Like Osborne's going to be able to run it inside the tackles too because of his vision and his compact power.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't call Crowell a power back, even though he may be able to play that. And I wouldn't pigeonhole is a good word, Osborne in any way possible. We talked about Javian Osborne quite a bit, Jerry. This is a young man that I like a lot, Xavier Crowell, out of Alabama, Jackson, Alabama. I don't know how serious he is with Texas. I know he set up a visit. But you would think that Alabama and Auburn might have first shot at him. But watching tape, I think that he and Javian Osborne are really, really talented. You mentioned the young man Cooper out of South Florida. I think the issue there is going to be, can they even get him on campus at some point? But I like what Tashard Choice has got in the hopper right now at running back. I think he's on the right guys. And they're gonna figure out who it is that they want, et cetera. Derek Cooper is this other guy that we talked about, Chaminade Madonna, down in Broward County in South Florida. You can look and talk about whoever you want to at this point, Jerry, but there's about 4 or 5 running backs that you'll be happy to take 1 or 2 and see what happens.
Xavier Crowell is going to be a battle royale bloodbath recruitment down in Alabama because his official visits are Georgia, Texas, Auburn, and Alabama. I mean, we say gird up your loins. Yeah, gird up your loins for a reason in recruiting in some of these battles. And Jackson, Alabama is going to be home to one of those with a running back. Derek Cooper, who we showed, was a one-time Georgia commitment as a running back, by the way. Again, I think he likes Texas. I think he'll get on campus. Where that goes, you have to see if it's just like Jamie French. Is it a fit? Is it not a fit? You don't really know until you actually get on campus. And then with the French and his family got on campus, Texas said this would be a good fit. The French said this would be a good fit, and it went from there. Same thing's going to happen with Tristan Keys at receiver, Derek Cooper at running back. But Javian Osborne, Xavier Crowell, those are 2. We're talking about a few of the top backs in the country, period.
And Sark After Dark wants your prediction. Will Texas take at least 1 in-state running back this cycle?
Yes, they will. I think it'll be 1 in and 1 out.
And we've actually had this asked a couple of times yesterday. Frank says, is he related to Isaiah Crowell, Jerry?
I don't think so, but let me ask on that. Isaiah
Crowell from Georgia?
Well, but Columbus Carver, but but I'll ask though.
And we got time for just another question or 2, guys. First, Bobby, Laguna Beach Longhorn wants to know. He says, great work, OTF team, as always. Have you decided what away games you'll attend and have tailgate festivities yet? Ohio State, Florida, Georgia?
Yes, and yes. But I'm not missing Texas's first game in Athens, and I'm not missing Texas's first game in Gainesville. I'm not missing those. Same with Ohio State. So we will be having away tailgates at all of those, no doubt about it.
And before we get to our last question or 2, guys, I'm going to use this opportunity to let you know about Rocket Money. You sign up for something, you forget about it after the trial period ends, then you're charged month after month after month. The subscriptions are there, but you're just not using them. Don't worry, you're not alone. I do it. Everyone else does it too. In fact, 85% of people have at least one paid subscription going unused each month. Thanks to Rocket Money, though, I can see all those subscriptions in one place, cancel the ones I'm not using anymore, and now I'm saving money. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions. It monitors your spending, lowers your bills so that you can grow your savings. The subscription part is absolutely awesome. It's what I use it for the most. You see all of them in one place. You know exactly where your money's going. And for the ones you don't want anymore, Rocket Money can help you cancel them very easily. Rocket Money has over 5 million users, and they say they total of 500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions, reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Just go to rocketmoney.com/gameon today. That's rocketmoney.com/gameon. rocketmoney.com/GAMEON. And Bobby, one more time, let everyone know about Adam Lowy and the Lowy Law Firm.
Yeah, everybody knows about Adam and his group and how they can help injured Texans. Just give them a shout at loweylawfirm.com. But I want to use this time to remind you that Adam and his group are giving away 4 free tickets to the Texas LSU women's basketball game on Sunday. All you have to do is be the first person to email the answer here to ontexasfootball@gmail.com. Who was the last Texas DB to go in the first round of the NFL draft? Who was the last Texas DB to go in the first round of the NFL draft? Email your answer to ontexasfootball@gmail.com. We'll announce the winners here tomorrow morning for that 4 free tickets for the winner.
All right. Thank you for that, Bobby. And let's get to a couple more questions. First, we have a super chat from It's 420 somewhere. Thank you for that. He says, putting on my tinfoil hat, what if Sark told Gideon to go to Georgia Tech and get better inroads to Georgia? PK is planning to leave in a couple of years, and Gideon can come back with Georgia recruits in tow. That's quite the chess move.
Man, I like your thought.
I don't know that that's going to happen. Good. I hear you, but a little far-fetched.
Hey, by the way, we need to answer this one because I think Mama Vogel's on the chat this morning too. Is CJ going to Starkville? Yes. So we're going to challenge CJ to wear overalls and have cowbells and sit in the student section at Mississippi State and report back on that and compare train tracks in College Station to Starkville.
Later this month, CJ will be going to Indianapolis, by the way, for the NFL Draft Combine. He's excited about getting up there. I actually talked to him about that a couple days ago. He's got credentials and ready to go. So we'll have him up there. But CJ will be making all of the away games. I think that's the game plan. He's going to have press credentials and do that the right way for us.
And this will probably be our last one for today from David Keith Williams. Thank you, David, for the question. He says, what 5 Longhorns do you think need to have the best spring? He thinks, in order, it's Alex January, followed by Neto Omazulu, Jordan Washington, Kobe Black, and Parker Livingston. Who y'all got?
That's a strong list, and I'm not sure. The only one I might replace would be Brandon Baker with Parker Livingstone.
Bobby?
Wow.
It's a good list.
Kobe Black would be huge because Texas has not gone to the portal yet for a corner. And that is a big hole vacated by Jahdae Barron. Huge hole. So I would say that one. I think Jordan Washington is necessary, more so than Alex January, Nato, or Parker. And the reason I would put Jordan Washington and Kobe Black at the top of that list is because I think they're going to be penciled in as starters for sure. January's got some more competition with some other guys. Nato has more competition. Parker Livingstone even will have more competition. But Jordan Washington and Kobe Black, they have a beeline to be a starter right now. And so if that's the case, I want those 2 guys stepping up as much as anybody. Not saying that the other guys don't need to step up too. I think the importance, though, overall importance to the team, given their relative starting position, maybe those 2.
And we're going to do one more here. I lied. Daddy Trill says, who's going to be the best tackler on the team? Maybe Hill?
I bet there's a lot of different answers on this one. This is a good question, Daddy Trill.
Who's heavy-handed? Anthony Hill, Brad Spence, very heavy-handed.
I'll tell you, I think the best tackler is going to be on the team, but he won't have the most tackles. But he may have the most sackles. Colin Simmons.
Yeah. Let's see, he's so athletic. It's just, I know he's not as heavy-handed as Anthony Hill or Brad Smith.
But he's so explosive, his contact power is different than anybody else.
Yeah. LaFau is a sure tackler, but I wouldn't call him the best tackler. If that makes sense. Anthony Smith's interesting. I will say this. I think Lianga LaFau is the most sure tackler. That wouldn't make him the best. The one that jars things loose and he hits you and you go down is more an Anthony Hill thing for me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I'm on the Colin Simmons one with that one. Brad Spence is going to be up there for me, Frank Duclair. I agree with that. Colin Simmons is the only player at Texas I've ever seen that hit a quarterback and the ball went all the way out of bounds from the far hash. I don't know what else to say. I've never seen that before.
Jelani McDonald, people are mentioning, is a really good tackler as well.
Trey Moore's a good tackler. That's a good one, Cisco. He's a solid fundamentals player. that
What
gets
a good
me
answer.
around.
I think he's very similar to Leonga Lafau in that regard.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode of Coffee and Football presented by Adam Lowy and the Lowy Law Firm. Want to thank Adam, along with the good folks at Babbel, Pure Hydration, Rocket Money, Tecovas, and Mint Mobile, all for sponsoring today's show. Thank you all for tuning in. The great questions, the super chats as well. And a big thank you to Tony Hills for coming each and every Wednesday for Hump Day with Hills right here on Coffee and Football. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Ring the bell so you're notified anytime we go live, post content, whatever it may be. And speaking of content, what you got for us later today, Bobby?
We got the weekly state of the program coming up. Jerry, CJ, and I will talk about that. Then we also have a number of other things coming today. I hope you guys got a chance to watch our breakdown, positional breakdown we started yesterday on the quarterback room. We'll be doing the running back room later this week as well and go on to each and every position group. But I think that's going to be a good series. I want you guys to make sure you check out. Then obviously we also have stuff on ontexasfootball.com as well as conversation going on daily. Feel free to stop by over there on texasfootball.com. You can get a subscription by using the promo code OTFOG, $49.95 for a year. That's $10 off the regular subscription rate.
If you missed the Longhorn live stream last night, you want to go back and watch that. Max Wright, Texas commitment, was on with Aaron Hogan, Rod Babers, and CJ Vogel. So if you never heard from Max Wright before, you want to see an interview with him, why he picked Texas, kind of his thoughts. Max Wright, Melissa, 2026 offensive line recruit, was on Longhorn live stream last night.
All the more reason to subscribe to the YouTube channel. And went over 72,000 recently, guys. Thank you to all 72,000 plus of you out there for the support. We definitely appreciate that. Hope you all have a great day. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow. So for Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton, I'm Blake.